Hello and welcome to Channel's Book Club. I'm Olakunle Kasumo. Let's start today's episode by saying a big thank you to all of you out there who often send us feedback and communicate with us through our social media platforms, Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram particularly. We appreciate this and hope to keep getting better at responding to your inquiries very promptly. If you have not been joining us, please start doing so. We'll be delighted to have you with us. Also, did you know that all episodes of this show are uploaded on YouTube within 24 hours of broadcast just for you? Yes, that's right. If you have been missing our episodes, you can always catch up on YouTube. Just go to the Channels TV YouTube channel or search for Channels Book Club on YouTube. The big news is that you can catch Channel's Book Club on the new podcast series of Channel Television that is already on from this week. This podcast service will give you the opportunity to listen to episodes of Channel's Book Club from anywhere. To get on board and enjoy this podcast service, visit www.channelstv.com/podcasts. If you want to save data or you are commuting and are unable to watch the program, this will be excellent for you. So please hook up to www.channelstv.com/podcasts. Our guest author today is a lady with over 23 years of professional and leadership experiences in the education, banking, and telecommunication sectors in Nigeria. She is Odunayo Sonya, the author of this book titled Alphabets of Leadership for Young Minds. If you have any young person between ages 8 and 23, then you will want to get this inspiring book and listen to its author. Alphabets of Leadership for Young Minds is not just a book to be read, but a manual to be used by and for young leaders. Odunayo joins us to discuss the book and things related. Enjoy this. Odunayo Sonya, nice to have you on Channel's Book Club. Thanks for coming.
Thank you, Kunle. It's a pleasure to be here.
Great to have you here. You are a professional, work actively in the telecom sector, 9 to 5 or 9 to 7, 9 to 9 job. How easy or tricky has it been for you to be writing? You've written a book. I know it's not easy writing a book at all. What's that life like?
Well, I think, you could do anything you really want to do. That's what this has taught me. Years ago, if you told me I'd write a book, I'd probably say no, even though people around me kept saying, do write a book, write a book. It took a lot of discipline. It took a lot of, having almost 27 hours in a 24-hour day and still trying to catch up. But, it's all about the commitment to get it done. So it was tough, as with all good things,
I can imagine.
But I believe, with the book, I see the fulfillment, and so it's the nights of staying up late for me paid off.
To write.
Yes.
I've had people say, "Oh, I wrote this. It took me 5 years. It took me 2 years, 3 years." I mean, how long did it take you to do this? Considering the fact that you had to wake up every morning, with a lot of responsibilities, and then come back so late.
So it took me pretty much a few months. My target was to write it in 26 days because I started with an alphabet a day. I was actually publishing it on my LinkedIn and Facebook pages. Okay. And I thought I'll be done in 26 days, and then life happened to me, and I couldn't finish in 26 days.
Months.
But at the end of the day, I think I was done in right about 9 months.
Okay. So were you posting on LinkedIn, on your social media platforms, because you planned to publish it, or it was something you had been doing and you then compiled what you had written?
Okay, so I'll tell you just a short story.
Okay.
I do write from time to time on my LinkedIn and the social media. I also belong to the John Maxwell team. We're a team of coaches and trainers and speakers. And every April and every November, we have what we call the Global Youth Initiative, where we teach leadership to very young people across the globe. And for me, because of work, I knew I couldn't be out there physically teaching, taking up time from work. So I promised myself that, you know what, I'll do an A to Z, and I'll write an alphabet every day.
Every day.
So really, I started writing, you know, the alphabets. And even though what you see in the book is a bit different, you know, with the book, you have the fusion of the stories and a lot more exercises for the young people to do.
Yeah.
So really, that's it. I stopped publishing on social media when I got to the letter U. And from nowhere, I made a commitment and told people who followed the thread to watch out for a book. And here we are today.
So an alphabet for a leadership principle. An alphabet for a leadership principle.
Yes.
We'll get into that. But alphabets of leadership for young minds, rather. Let's talk about leadership. Why did you develop, or how did you develop a passion for leadership? And how critical is this subject for young people, particularly in our climate?
For me, the passion for leadership came when, in my late 20s into my early 30s, where I just, you know, there was this, and I think it happens to everyone, there was this energy in me that I could do more. There was this thing that, you know, there was this heat inside me to say I could do more, I could change something around me. It wasn't really only about people in positions of authority and all of that. And I started practicing it within my family. You know, I'm not the first child, but truly a lot of people think I'm a first child. So, you know, responsibility, taking others under your care and all of that. As I matured through my phases in life, I'm a proud mother of three beautiful daughters. Yes, yes. And so I look at my children and, of course, going to school, what they were being taught. And I believe that if every young person, even myself, had been exposed to leadership from a tender age, I believe I would be much better. I would have turned out maybe a bit much better. I believe the world will be better. And the reason is because as we speak, leadership is positioned, you know, as the exclusive preserve of adults, of people in positions of a mother, a father, and all of that. And so people wait until they get to a certain age before they start to lead even themselves. So it's about leadership of self, because if you can lead yourself, then you do have, you know, the credentials to lead other people. So that's the relationship, to get our young people to lead themselves and turn out better, you know, than we ever did or ever imagined they would turn out. And then by so doing, they impact the society. The families are changed. And then, you know, there's kind of a movement and things begin to work better.
When you say for young minds, this book is for young people, well, older people who have young people to mentor.
Yes.
But for young people between the ages of 8 and 23, would that be correct?
Yes, you're correct.
Between 8 and 23. Okay, let's dig in. I suspect time will be a challenge because I have a lot of questions for you, but let's dig in. Let me ask you a few, because I may not be able to ask all. Now, I'm going to read here what you wrote in page 9. If everyone is born with an essentially similar brain, with more or less the same potential for achieving greatness, why is it then that only a limited number of people seem to truly realize their full potential and excel in life? In a practical sense, this is the most important question for every individual to answer. When I read this, I put the book down and I began to think, yeah, that question is really important. And I said, I'm going to start with that question for you. The question you asked, I'm asking you, you know, to get the viewers to have an idea of what this book is all about. What's your take on this?
Well, for me, I believe you have to journey within before you can journey without. You know, you have
Journey
to
within.
Yes, before you can journey without. You know, and what this means, a lot of sages, old sages, you know, said this, and it's true. You have to discover yourself first before you are able to make a true impact on the lives around you. Now, you find that discovering yourself is a lifetime, actually. But having the very basics helps set you on the right footing. And so for me, really, I found that you can put, it's just like the science experiments, you know, where you have a control, and I can't remember what you call the other one. And, you know, you starve the one of some nutrients and you give it to the other and you see how it flourishes. And that's how a lot of people, a lot of us live our lives. So it's the call to say that if you can take hold, be in the driver's seat of your life, your outcomes become a bit more deliberate and intentional. Your actions become intentional, your outcomes, your actions, are intentional, and your outcomes become deliberate. You know, so it's that to say, if you discover yourself, understand yourself, and then you can make this other impact.
So the foundation of leadership is self-discovery.
Yes.
If you don't discover yourself, you can't even start leading. That's basically what you're saying here.
That's what I'm saying.
In many ways.
Yes.
Interesting. Now, you then took each alphabet and brought out a leadership principle. Let me run through a few here. A, accomplishment. B, believe. C, courage. D, drive. E, excellence. F, focus. G, growth. H, humility. I, integrity. J, joy. K, kindness. L, language. M, minditude. And N, no, and so on. Now, let me read what you wrote in the first one. In accomplishment, you wrote the story of, okay, I'll jump to my favorite, B. Okay. Now, you told the story of Ade and Mary, two girls, 10-year-old girls, who one had self-belief, the other did not. They both fell into water, and the one who did not have self-belief began to sink or drown. And the one who had self-belief kept on struggling until somebody came to save both of them. Now, the quotes at the beginning of your chapter says, you may succeed if nobody else believes in you, but you will never succeed if you do not believe in yourself. Tell us a bit more about this.
You know, self-belief is really so powerful. And I don't know if you noticed the illustration, the picture that was used for that.
Yes. A cat looking at the mirror but seeing a lion.
A lion. And you know, it's about what you believe that you are. I believe so much in the power of identity. You know, who are you? What do you answer to? And you would answer to what you believe describes you. And so a lot of us are living life on autopilot, and there's no deliberate act to take charge of that life, to believe. And so that's why we talk about things like the imposter syndromes, where you have what it takes to be where you are, but you keep second-guessing yourself. And because you second-guess, and it happens, it's not only to young people, to even people in the boardrooms. And you're almost waiting to be found out. Meanwhile, you have what it takes. So when you believe in yourself, you know that, and it's not about arrogance, but you know, and then you begin to understand that your dreams are valid, and you can begin to push, you get the inner courage to push things through. Belief is what carries you when people trash your dreams. Because a lot of people will never understand your dreams at first. You know, they'll just tell you it can't work because of X, Y, Z. But because you believe in you will pull it through. And then at the end of the day, people come and invest in the same thing they have trashed. So you first of all must believe.
Your book tells me that leaders are not born, but rather they are developed?
Well, it's part of it. So for me, some people might be born leaders. You know, you see some young children, put them in the midst of, I have a daughter like that. She'll stick up. Before you know it, she's organizing everyone into groups and they're getting things done. But the truth is, a talent or a gift you have, and you don't even practice, you don't hone it, you can lose it. So we must get into this constant practice. And that's why I in the book, leadership is positioned as a skill that can be learned and is a lifelong, learning.
Thing you learn.
Yes.
Yeah, because these principles are principles that you can imbibe. You can learn them, you can imbibe them. And that is the basis of your writing it anyway. That's the reason why you wrote them. Is that correct?
You're very correct. They're not things that I have manufactured. They're things that they're everyday life concepts and principles. But what this has done is putting it together in this body of work enables, whether you as a parent or a guardian, to use it as a frame, as a template. Is not prescriptive, but to guide and build, the solid foundation from the home. I was listening to a webinar yesterday. The lady's a teacher, and she said, you know what? You don't send your children to school for them to be brought up. The school is meant to only reinforce what they have learned from home. So
that's powerful.
That's part of it, to say that, parents and guardians can, enable family time together, bring children together. And at the end of every alphabet, if you notice, there are exercises that spell commitment, where the young people commit to, practicing all of these principles. And then they can get back and check themselves and see how.
As a parent, when should I start training my child to be a leader? When do these leadership principles kick in? How early?
It's amazing. I think right from the womb.
Right from the very start.
Right from the womb, because they can hear. And so the principles you can share, kindness, love, and you just talk to your baby inside you.
What at times to me is missing is that being deliberate about it. If you get what I mean. Being deliberate about raising a leader. Is it something you have observed?
Yes. Even, I tell you, at times for me, it's also tough because I work, thank God for, the lockdown, even though we're still working, even more than 9 hours in a day. But we have to be deliberate about it. And that's what discipline is, giving yourself a command and obeying it. And what's the command? The command is that I want to do this thing with my children. I want to raise them. And so we put a structure in place. Structures don't lie. Put a time regime. Let the children understand the benefits of what they're going into, as against you reeling it out as an order to them. They will never understand. But if they understand the benefits, then they come to the table. They will always be children or young people, but you can easily pull them back.
In.
Yes.
Well, it's been great having this chat with you. So much to talk about. Alphabets of Leadership for Young Minds. Thank you very much for joining us on Channels Book Club.
Thank you, Kunle. It's been a wonderful time. Thank you.
We're looking forward to the sequel to this.
Great.
Don't stop
Thank you.
pricing.
I won't. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Before we go, let's take a reading from one of our favorite young authors and go back a bit in time.
So, this is to teachers all around the world, from my parents to the actors on screen who have taught me what to do and what not to do when faced with certain situations. I salute you all. You are not appreciated enough. Thank you for everything you have taught me. Thank you for your patience when I was unable to grasp certain concepts. Thank you for your calmness those times I proved to be stubborn. And thank you for your discipline when I needed it the most. But most importantly, thank you for the right knowledge you have given me and the manner in which you did, because there are so many people out there who were taught bad things as good things and vice versa. And there are also people who were given the right knowledge but refused to act upon it due to the way in which the knowledge was received. So this is to say a big thank you to everyone who has taught me one lesson or another. Whether or not I listened at the time, it has shaped me to be who I am today. You are all needed. You are all great teachers. Keep teaching. I am inspired by the idea of a better life, a better tomorrow. Not only for me, but for everyone in general. I am inspired by the idea of change for the better. It affects the way I live and the actions that I take because I want to contribute to that change. I want to live to see the world a better place and a more peaceful place where everyone accepts each other. But I also understand that in order for that to happen, everyone needs to be driven towards the idea of such a change. Although it may not happen now or in the nearer future, it is an inspiration of mine that has helped me to accept and support almost anyone I come across. If we all adopt this approach, the world will be a better place.
Hello, welcome everybody. Hello. Nice to meet you.
Hello.
Please come in. Hello. Welcome to the Jahn Library for African Literatures here at the University of Mainz in Germany. I'm so pleased to meet you, and I'll show you the library and explain a few things about the collection and the history of the library. This man whom you see here on the poster, his name is Jan-Heinz Jahn. In 1950, he attended a lecture on poetry by black writers. And that lecture really changed his life, because on that night he decided that he just loved this poetry that he heard. And so from that day he started to collect more poetry, novels, creative writing by black writers from all over the world and many African countries as well. He started to translate them into German, and the first result of his work was an anthology called Schwarze Orpheus, Black Orpheus. And in Germany it was the first collection of this kind, and its publication marks the beginning of African literature in Germany. This first publication, which was extremely successful in Germany, usually poetry does not sell that well. You find a few readers and they like it, but then that's it. And publishers don't earn much money with poetry collections. But this book was really a bestseller in Germany. So today you still find many old people who have this book in their cupboard, in their bookshelf at home. And after that after this success, he decided to devote the rest of his life to African literature. At first it was still literature also from the Caribbean, from South America, the US, African American literature. But after some while he discovered that there was so much literature from so many different African countries that he specialized in that alone. So from that on he just concentrated on literary texts from African countries, including Nigeria.
All right.
There you see the West African languages that we have literature. In alphabetical order. So now we're in the heart of the Jahn Library, and we're in the West African section. Here you find creative writing by West African writers who have chosen to write in English. This is all of that section. You find some older texts as well as some fairly recently published novels and plays and poetry. And in this section we also have creative writing published in a number of West African languages, literary titles as well as critical literature in a number of West African languages, including Yoruba, Hausa, Igbo, but also Ghanaian languages and languages from other West African countries. In fact, we have quite a big Yoruba selection as well as many, many titles in Hausa and some titles in Igbo as well. You'll also find novels in English published by West African writers, including many, many Nigerian writers. Both classics, of course, like Chinua Achebe, Buchi Emecheta, many of those very well-known writers, but also recently published West African novels.
This is where we have to end the show today. As always, we'll be looking forward to get your feedback through Twitter, Facebook, or Instagram. My name is Olakunle Kasumo. Remember, one great book can change your life. Bye-bye.